Hi everyone. This is going to be a little bit different, this segment. I'm going to talk about breathing coordination, and this is difficult, but some of you know a lot about this already. Some of you have a good internal awareness of what good breathing coordination is, and that's what we should all be striving for. It should be so natural and so precise. But it should happen automatically. It should be happening without conscious awareness, and that doesn't happen without a lot of training. When I was, I was a young guy. I was back in the '60s and '70s, especially the early '60s and into the early '70s. Yeah, that's about right. I got into yoga. Nobody was really talking about yoga. It wasn't a word that was used in common parlance as it is today. Now it's kind of become part of our culture. And of course, there are many different kinds of yoga. I won't go down the list, but I studied it pretty seriously for quite a while. And one of the things that I was looking at was like, how can this help my trumpet playing, obviously. And there are many ways that it can help. And I'm going to show you a few simple things today. The best thing for you to do, if you're serious about this, is study with a really great Alexander teacher, for example, or anyone who works at a very high level with posture, because that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Posture is like the right way to stand in order to hit a baseball, right? It's the right way to stand, the right way to set up your body before the gun goes off and you go flinging your body down the track to run a sprint, for example. It's critical, and high-level athletes will study these kinds of things to try and improve their game even just a little bit. Just like some professional football players study ballet, especially linemen. Why? Because what they do is very much like that, only it's different when you weigh 300 plus pounds and still have to move as if you weighed 100 pounds. So this is kind of what we're dealing with. There's the breathing system are the big muscles that are involved, the big parts of the system. So let me just take a few minutes. I'm going to start just by blowing some air through the trumpet. And this is an exercise that you can do. This is a technique you can use anytime you want. And I use it a lot, but it's nice if you're in a quiet environment because you can hear the air move through the horn. So I'm just going to take a full breath and release the air all the way to the end, and hold it out as I did before. So that was about 6 liters of air. See, I'm out of air right now. So I took a big breath, made some noise so you could hear what I was doing. Now, when I'm doing that, the air is even, and I can hear that it's even. Now I can blow it stronger. And when it stops, I'm not stopping it with my throat. I'm not stopping it with my tongue. I'm stopping it because I ran out of air. In other words, I poured the air through the air out of my body until I hit the wall, and I couldn't go any farther. And you want to explore the edges, both in terms of inhaling and exhaling of this. This is a thing to listen for, and it's a thing to feel for. The reason why I'm talking about this is because when you're doing this exercise, or what we talked about previously with the breathing tube exercise, the breathing tube is low resistance. By the way, don't breathe in through the trumpet, even if it's very clean, because it has oil and stuff in it. I don't recommend it. If it's not very clean, you'll get sick. Now, here's one of the key things you're trying to develop. You need to be able to change the direction of that air very, very quickly. Okay, how can you do that unless your posture's right? Let's talk about that. So I'll give you a few little keys. The reason why I set up with a larger frame today is because I want to be able to stand sideways, so you can see what's happening from this point of view, and then also from the front, and maybe even from the back. Of course, I can't see the back myself, so I don't know if it'll be effective for you, but I'm going to try it anyway to see if it works. Okay, so first thing is roll your shoulders. Now, what do I mean? If you had like light weight in your hand, maybe, a couple of cans of soup or something like that, so you could feel the weight, but no strain. You see, your shoulders want to come all the way back. You see how open the chest is? This is key. And there's tension. The tension between my shoulder blades, my rhomboids, and the muscles of the scapula are engaged very strongly. I don't want that excess tension, but I want the position. So, I'm starting to slump. Oh, see, now that's subtle, but that is absolutely critical for breathing. I'll show you. Now, if you roll your shoulders, always like to use images. So, I'm thinking about like a string with a ball attached to it, or like if you see, of course, here in New England, a lot of us are Patriots fans, and you watch Belichick on the practice field, and he's got his whistle. And he's just swinging it like this around his finger, and it winds up, and then he throws it the other way. That picture of something on a string that's held in the middle, that is what you want to get with your shoulders. So you're actually relax, settle down, and then you throw your shoulders forward, up, back, down, like a big circle, like there was a string with a weight attached to it that was circling all the way around. See, you can go in either direction. Now, why is this important? Well, it feels good for one thing, and it kind of gets your shoulders loosened up. Many of you know, my students at conservatory know that I suffered a pretty severe shoulder injury back in early November 2019, and when I eventually got it operated on. It's taking a long time to heal, and so now it's the end of April 30th. So it's still in process, but I'm very glad that I can roll my shoulders, and I'm starting to regain a little bit of strength very gradually. The prognosis is about a year for full recovery from this operation, so try not to have it unless you really need it. At any rate, being able to roll my shoulders like that, that feels good, because they get stiff. And I've had a lot of shoulder injuries in the past, so, that's not something you need to worry about, probably, I hope. But if you have any kind of bodily injury that you have, is going to affect the whole system, and you have to figure out how to bring that back, how to use various techniques in order to kind of try and keep yourself healthy as an athlete. Okay, so we got the shoulder roll. The whole point of this is to end up in the right place. And I showed you the right place at the beginning. If you go down, forward, up, back, down, that's where you end up. So it's back and down, and you see how the chest is opened up. Now, I want you to be careful about something. I have a long-standing habit that's not good posture, and it's this. I'm arching my chest. I'm exaggerating this. But to actually come down without slumping, that's what you're trying to do. So you're not trying to arch your back, arch your spine, and stick your chest out like this. That's the kind of, Warner Brothers bulldog picture. You have a really big chest and a skinny waist, or the military posture, like you're standing at attention. See, that's the arched back like this. Relax. So you get into a neutral position. This is very, very important because that neutral position doesn't really change very much. You get expansion, contraction, you get inflation, deflation, but that posture of the rib cage and the spine don't change very much. When they don't change, if I breathe, again, I'll use the breathing tube, keep me honest here. Now, you probably don't see that much. I'll be interested to watch the video since I can't see it right now. You probably don't see that much change. You'll see a little inflation, a little deflation. Most of the activity takes place in the rib cage, not up here. It's the upper part of the ribs. This just stays pretty much the same. Okay, so the shoulders in the down and back position, relaxed. Now, this is hard. We play the trumpet, or some of us do anyway. So I got a trumpet here. I'm going to put it in my hand. And what's the natural posture? You see how I'm not in this posture anymore? Almost every trumpet player has trouble with this, and it becomes a habit. And I'm not telling you that you can't play the trumpet that way. Of course you can. There are a lot of great players that did it. I mean, think about Miles. You know, he played like this a lot of the time, especially late in his career. He's just, you know, down pointing at the floor, kind of hunched over, stooped. It was kind of an attitude thing, and it went along with the music that he was playing at that time. But you never see somebody who plays in an orchestra playing like that. They look very natural and neutral. It doesn't look like very much is happening at all. That is practiced. That is studied. That is cultivated. That is trained in. It doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen naturally because we're athletes. We're trying to do something that's more than just breathing while you're sleeping. Okay? So I'll show you again. That's the shoulders forward. Here's the shoulders back. So some people say pinch the shoulder blades together. Okay, that's a place to start. Then relax and let the weight go down. Now we're going to talk about another really important part, and that would be the rib cage. So what happens with the rib cage? You can go online, you can look at pictures of this. I wish, you know, maybe there's something now, but it'd be great if you had an MRI 360 degrees, 3D. You could walk around. If you could walk around and see what it looked like, that would help a lot. But since we can't do that, I'm going to give you a couple of tips to help you to find the right posture. And some things that I think of to try and get things, try and find the right pattern, the right movement pattern that'll stay there all the time when I'm playing the trumpet, and it operates very, very, very efficiently. Okay? So, what are we talking about here? Rib cage, not arched, not slumped, right in the middle. My physical therapist said it's kind of like a bell. So if you think of a big bell, the bell rings, it swings this way, and then it swings this way. I'm a little stiff there. Ooh, wow. That's what happens when you get old. And it swings this way, this way, this way. And in the middle, when the bell comes to rest, that's your rib cage. It's just sitting there. And what happens? It's flexible. It's flexible. So this is a little thing that I picked up from Charlie Schluter, just by observation. Not in a lesson situation, but I hope that you'll find it useful. I certainly have. You take your hand, your fingers. That's my rib cage here, and then if I go into the belly, the soft tissue, okay, that's below the edge. So now, I can find the edge of the rib cage. Oh, there we go. Okay, and what I'm going to do is feel where that is and try and curl my fingers right up underneath it. Now, for some of you, this might be painful. For me, it's not painful at all because the tissue is very, very flexible there. But if you could be stiff, or you could have a different situation. And if that muscle's locked up or the tissue is stiff, this is not going to be comfortable for you. So use your own judgment. And you need to push in fairly forcefully with your abdominal muscles relaxed. And you'll feel the edge of your ribs. You get your fingers kind of underneath the edge of your ribs. When you do that, as you breathe in, check it out. See how my fingers are up underneath the rib cage? Now when I breathe, what's happening? Well, my ribs are swinging out, kind of out and up, like a shallow J, kind of like this. And my diaphragm is flattening. It's coming down. When the diaphragm comes down, it pushes your hand out of its position because your diaphragm is attached at the edge of your ribs. And your abdominal muscles are also attached at the edge of your ribs. And this is one of the things that makes breathing complicated. So the primary thing you're trying to get sorted out here is how to relax muscles that will normally try and tense and clench in order to help push the air out, how to relax those muscles that are not necessary, that actually interfere with the process, and how to engage the other muscles And that means you have to be able to feel them. So this is one way that you can start to feel it. Now, what I have my students do sometimes is just, make a rigid hand like this and just stick it right into my rib cage like that, below the rib cage, up into the abdominal area. And then I'll just tighten the abdominal muscles. And what happens is, when I tighten the abdominal muscles, it pushes my hand out of the way. But you see, the air is not really being affected because I'm doing that and it's not affecting my voice at all. So you can be doing lots of muscular activity and have it not be affecting the air at all in the way that you want to. You'll be under the impression that you're supporting properly, but you may not be supporting properly. And this is one of the trickiest things about playing a wind instrument, especially either a super high flow wind instrument, like flute or tuba, or a high resistance, high pressure instrument like oboe or trumpet, is these sensations can get very confused, and they're counterfeit sensations that say, well, I'm supporting, and actually what you're doing is squeezing, and it becomes isometric. It's like one muscle working against another muscle. So there's a lot of tension there, and it feels I'm doing something, but you're actually not applying the energy to throwing the air. Okay? Like we talked about before, it's got to be this loose throwing sensation. So watching the edge of your ribs for flexibility, for looseness, is important. Now, there's another thing that I normally do with my students, and sometimes it just takes a touch. And again, these are being recorded in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic, and everything is still shut down now. At the end of April, we'll see how much longer it goes. But I can't have a person-to-person lesson with people. On the other hand, it gives me time to make these videos. So, be that as it may, I'm going to show you something, and I want to explain this. If you just relax and let go of your ribs, you're allowing the diaphragm to move in the natural pattern. It will move perfectly if you just leave it alone, right? You're not trying to make it do anything. Now, a lot of people, you see this kind of breathing. This is one of those things that can be a counterfeit. And there are a lot of success, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of successful brass players that do this. They've incorporated it as part of the system, but it's not exactly in cooperation with the way your body was designed to function. And that's this. So everybody says to breathe low, so they end up distending the abdominal muscle wall, pushing your guts out, basically. And when you do that, this is very important. When you do that, and then you try and blow, you can feel the tension. Why? Because your diaphragm is trying to relax and come back up inside your chest and push the air in your lungs out as it relaxes. It's just trying to release the air, and the abdominal muscles are rigidly clenched and pushed in the opposite direction. So back in the day, as I think I mentioned before in the previous episode about mouthpiece blowing, people would herniate themselves when they were trying to play high energy music and use this technique of pushing out the stomach. Don't do anything with it. It will figure out what to do all by itself. Remember, it's about support. Support of what? The air in your body. So the air in your body is not leaking out your neck or bursting out your abdomen or popping out your back. It's coming out here, which is where you want it to come out. And you start to learn to feel that pressure differential between the inside and the outside of your body. So it looks something like this. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So, your belly's loose. There's motion there. See how that's kind of like a wave? That's a yoga breath. You're not going and sticking your gut out. You're just relaxing. Now, right now, I'm thinking about it too much because I'm trying to show you guys something, and thinking about it messes it up. Please remember that. Just observe. You may think, well, that's kind of weird. I don't understand what's going on. Keep looking, keep feeling, keep listening. Keep trying to observe as clearly as you possibly can. That's the main reason. None of these exercises work without observation. They won't help you at all. You say, what am I doing here? And why am I doing it? Oh, I'm going to throw the air. Just like your rib cage is like a bellows squeezing the air. Claude Gordon used this illustration many years ago. Just like, only I hope you can see that a little bit, and that gives you a starting point for your own investigation. One more thing, and then I'll let you go. Now, I'm finding this perfect posture, with my shoulders in the right place, and I'm trying to cultivate that so that my body stays there. No matter how much air or how little air. Why? Because when I go to take a breath, if I have to unravel, untie, loosen up muscles that are clenched, I can never get a quick breath. This is one of the number one problems that trumpet players have. And you can tell whether it's working properly or not. You can easily tell from the way it feels. You should be able to just jump, just instantaneously, fraction of a second, the air comes in. Especially when you're playing the trumpet and the air is under resistance, that's challenging to do. So that's a primary skill that you have to learn how to do. And again, many kinds of drills can be applied to this. I'm not getting into that now. We'll talk about how to set up your own routine later. That's a very complex and difficult thing, and it's very individualistic. So I'll give you the basic principles and then see if you can figure that out on your own. I'll give you some examples of it, some of the things that I do that I hope will be helpful. So I hope some of these ideas are helpful to you today. There's so much more that we can talk about. I'll just mention one more thing. You can breathe well in any body position. And it's good to think about this. Now, something that helps me, and this is one of those imagination visualization things. If my body is like this, and my shoulders are down and back and relaxed, and my spine is basically in alignment, although I'm getting older, so neck is a little stiff. Now, if I imagine myself in that position, and this is going to sound weird, but what was that really bad movie, Blades of Glory, something like that? You'll get a picture if you've seen that movie. When normally in pair skating, it's a man and a woman, right? So the guy will normally be doing the one-handed, holding the woman overhead, and his hand is in her back, or he might have both hands on the hips, and it's a beautiful balletic kind of movement. But that hand in the back is an example of the kind of thing that you would feel if you're just sitting right here. There's somebody supporting me as if they had a hand in the back, and I can breathe right to that hand. Oh, now that starts to feel good. How do I know that? Because I'm always looking for ways to picture things that my body understands. I might understand the principles, the mechanics, which you've been talking about today, but I'm not feeling it. Why? Because I'm trying to talk to my body, do this, do that. I'm trying to control it, or I'm trying to understand it intellectually or scientifically. And that's all well and good. Some people can work that way, but most people have to feel it first. And the way you feel, the way your body works is through pictures and sensation. Pictures and sensation that go together, okay? I've said this before, but it's a fundamental principle of practice. So that in itself helps me tremendously. Another one is with the rib cage. I just relax and I pretend like I'm a large bird. We have quite a few hawks right in our yard here, and they're beautiful birds. Hawks, eagles, the larger birds. Have some heron just flew over the other day, and it's beautiful to watch them, the movement. And that's what you're trying to tap into. Your body knows how to do all that stuff. So I picture this movement of the ribs. Watch my elbows. I'm going to tuck them lightly against my rib cage. I picture that like the wings of a large bird. And that's what blowing is like. The more smooth and natural it can be, the more happy you're going to be as a player. But it has to be discovered, cultivated, trained in, until it becomes second nature, and it happens automatically when you're playing. So this is a lot of stuff in one video. Again, too long, but the good news is you can stop at any point, you can review, you can take notes. That's what I would be doing. I might go do that right now, as a matter of fact, because strangely enough, I sometimes learn things from watching my own videos, which is an interesting idea. At any rate, I'm glad that you tuned in, and I hope that some of this will get you started going in the right direction. If you only do one thing, just the basic spine posture, open chest, and keep that like that when you're playing, it will definitely improve your playing. I can't tell you how much. You'll discover for yourself. Okay, I will see you all later. I hope you're having a great day where you are. And I haven't decided what I'm going to be talking about next. We'll see. Bye-bye.